What is up, everybody? Patrick here, and today I'm going to show you how to build a resume website. Now, in a previous video, I did show you how to create a portfolio website, but that's more tailored to people that work on project-based work, where a resume is more to highlight work experience versus projects worked on. And today I'm going to show you how to take your resume and turn it into a professional website to help you land more jobs. Now, you can always send a resume into a potential employer as nothing more than a PDF, but that doesn't stand out at all. Where if you have a link to your resume website, not only does it show that you've got the initiative to create a website specifically for your resume, but it shows that you're willing to go above and beyond, not just on the job, but in your professional life in general. Now, the platform we'll be using today to create your resume website is called Wix.com, which Wix.com is an online website building platform that provides you thousands of different templates to choose from, and then an intuitive drag and drop editor so you can quickly, creatively, and efficiently customize your website to make it perfectly represent what message you're trying to convey. So I will drop a link down in the description for you to head over to Wix.com so you can follow along with me from the very beginning. So without further ado, let's jump in and create a professional resume website. Okay, so the very first thing you'll want to do is head over to Wix.com. You can use the link I dropped down in the description. And if you don't already have an account, you can create one here. Or if you do, you can just hit sign in. So we'll go ahead and hit sign in at the top right. And this is where I'll enter my login info. And like I said, if you don't already have a Wix account, you can click the sign up button, fill out an email, password, repeat the password, and then hit sign up. But because I already have one, I'll hit login and enter my info real quick. And when this is all good, I'll hit login, and this will take me to my site's dashboard. So from here, you can see an entire list of all of the sites I've already made that are associated with my Wix account. But today we'll be creating a brand new website for your online resume. And so if you've just created a brand new Wix account, it will take you directly to the create a new site window, which if you already have an account, you can do that by clicking the create new site button at the top right. And from here, it allows you to choose what kind of website you're looking to create. Now, there's no specific resume button, and we could go ahead and choose portfolio or CV, but I've already made a video on how to create a professional portfolio using Wix, which of course I'll include that link down in the description as well. So we'll go ahead and click on other this time, and this will just take us to the next page asking whether we want to use the Wix ADI or choose a template, which we'll choose a template. And from here, it's just going to give us the generic template since we didn't choose what kind of category we were looking for because I want to search it specifically. So up here on the left, you see the search bar. You can click on that and then we'll type in resume. You don't even have to hit enter, just give it a second and Wix will update and give you a full search list of resume-based templates. These are all templates tagged with resume or with resume in the name. And scrolling through, you can hover over any one of these and you'll see one of two buttons, either edit or view. Edit will grab that template and throw it directly into the Wix editor so you can start editing it, but I always recommend viewing a template first so you get an idea for the entire flow of that website before grabbing it and taking it into the Wix editor. So for example, I'll check out this storyteller CV. So I'll hit view and this will open up in a new window. And from here, I'm already liking this. Nice and simple, has your name at the top left, a little intro right here, and a link to the About Me page, which you can see up here in the right. Clicking on About will take you to that About Me page. Just a little breakdown of you, a little biography about you, which is something that's included on all resumes. So that's something you can grab directly from your resume. Now, I didn't mention this before, but I have a resume brought up right next to me, an example, of course, not my own, that you can treat like your own. I recommend grabbing your existing resume that you already have, or if it's not updated, update it first so you have that traditional resume if an employer asks for it. But you can also use that as the template for your information, making this just that much easier to just pull that information off your resume and plug it in onto your website. And it goes from just a PDF or a piece of paper to this beautiful interactive web page that anybody can visit. And scrolling down the About Me page, you can see my latest projects, which of course, if you're more project oriented, I'd recommend a portfolio over a resume site, but this is a little hybrid of the two. In fact, this is a little more portfolio leaning than I would like. Sure, there's a spot right here for work experience, but I'm actually not going to pick this template. So we'll head back over to the template selection And from here, I'm going to find something that's more akin to a resume and less like a CV or a portfolio. In fact, we've got the student resume right here, which already just at a quick glance looks like it's pretty straightforward and kind of what I'm looking for. So scrolling through the landing page, it has everything you need all in one. You've got the about, just a little bio, your background, then education and experience. These are two sections I want to see for a resume site because these are two sections that are on every resume. Scrolling down a little bit further, you've got these skills in languages, which allows you to kind of use this graphic to determine what your skill level is in that specific thing, which I don't necessarily recommend it because you're already setting the precedent for what your skill level is at. I always let the employer gauge where they see your skill is fit. You show them that you can do the work and put in the effort to make whatever it is happen. You can get the job done. And before even getting into the interview, you're already saying, well, I'm not as good at image and design as I am with email marketing. And this way you could accidentally already count yourself out of the job by simply saying that you're a little less talented or skilled in HTML and CSS versus CMS or CRM. I don't necessarily recommend that. So in fact, I'm not going to choose this template just based off of that. So let's switch back to the template selection real quick and we'll take a look at the personal resume. This looks a little more akin to what I want. So clicking on the view button, we can scroll through and see that our landing page is the About Me page by default. Then you've got an actual resume page, nice, which allows you to download a CV. This is what I want. So I want to be able to provide the traditional documentation, but also present it in a digital clean form. And for recruiters that need to take it out for paperwork, they can by simply clicking on the download CV button, which I'll show you how to link that in a moment. Nice job history, good education history, and then professional skill set, where it doesn't rate how proficient you are, it just says what you're proficient in. This is what I want. I want something that just says what I'm capable of and not how capable, and counting myself out before even getting into it. There's a projects tab, which is nice. Not everybody has project-oriented workflows. And again, if your work is more project-based than it is like job history-based, I do recommend using a portfolio site instead. And then, of course, the last page is the contact page, a incredibly important thing if you have an online resume. Now, your resume usually has contact info on it, but this way you can clean it up a bit, have your resume info, job history, education on one page, and then take your contact info and put it in a single spot. And this one doesn't put it out there for everybody to see, which is nice. This is a website, keep in mind. Anybody can visit it as long as they have the URL or domain name. And by putting your phone number, address, or other contact info on the website, anybody could stumble across it and sell your information. You don't necessarily want that out there. However, if you are running a business or an agency, you might want that info out there. You might want a public email or public phone number out there for clients to potentially reach you. But because this is a resume site, this is for a specific individual like yourself, having a form that says let's talk or maybe something a little more professional is a lot nicer, because this way you allow the recruiter or potential employer to fill out their information to get yours first. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit this site at the top right, and this will grab that template, convert it over so we can use it in the Wix editor and start interacting with elements directly on the page and making changes to make this resume more in line with us. And so obviously one of the first things you'll do is rebrand a site, but before you can do that, you just need a quick understanding of how to use the Wix editor if you don't already know how. You have the toolbar over to the right that clicking on the top bar will allow you to drag and move it around however you see fit. This is nice for whenever you're trying to edit your website, because this bar on the right is for formatting. This is for margins and the formatting of elements on your web page, where this nav bar on the left side of the page is for adding elements and content to your website. So if you want to add images, video, change text, or add interactive elements like forms, slideshows, or subscription boxes, then you can go ahead and do that through here. So the very first thing is, instead of hello, I'll say welcome. And because you can see that doesn't really fit, I'll highlight all of that and then just grab the font size and drag it down just a little bit. And I'll change the name obviously over to Patrick. And there we go. We'll leave it at Project Manager because this is a demo. I'm not trying to recreate my exact resume, but I want you to see how you would go in and change the existing elements on the template so they'd fit with your resume. And because a resume is a lot more text-based than most other web pages. This is a lot easier if you have your resume next to you. You can literally copy and paste directly from your resume over to your website, but I do recommend changing some of the wording so it fits better with the website presentation. Otherwise, if you just copy and paste verbatim, you might end up with some oddly formatted or oddly sounding text. And so scrolling down a bit, we'll leave this. This is just your introduction paragraph where you're going to break down a little introduction about yourself. And then we've got the 2 buttons over here. Now these buttons will allow you to switch over between different tabs. You can see that this linked button is already highlighted. That means it's already linked to something. Clicking on this will show you where it is linked and how will it open. So right here it says which page, where clicking on the drop down will give you a full list of the existing pages on your website. You can choose whichever one you want to link it to, and we're going to keep it at resume because I love the fact that these buttons are here. You can hit the landing page, get a quick bio about the person, and without having to scroll down, you see 2 buttons, resume and projects. You can see history and project history of the person you're checking out. So in this example, me. So I'll hit done and leave it at that. And let's say we don't want to close the landing page. We want it to open up in a new window. We would just hit new window, and you can only open this link from your published site, which means testing out the site right now won't merit anything. We'll have to publish it first. So in fact, I'll just switch back to current window and hit done. Since those links are good to go, I'll just see about switching out this image. Now I would just change this with an image of myself. Clicking on it and hitting change image will bring you up a list of all of the media associated with this website, where Wix allows you to upload videos, images, and graphics and store them on the website. One of the benefits of having an upgraded plan is more storage space, especially if you're somebody that posts content regularly. You'd want to have more storage space available on your website, because when it's integrated in Wix, it makes it a lot smoother to just implement it on your website. And as you can see, we don't have any files here right now. We can go over to my boards or media from Wix and grab a stock image if we would like. But of course, this is a resume. You want it to be a picture of yourself. So we'll just leave it at that right now, as long as you have an understanding. And now let's switch over to the resume tab. This is the most important page on the website, because this is a website about our resume. So before jumping down, let's change this from just resume to Patrick's resume, although it's kind of a given because this is my website. Just a little more clarification. And again, I'll change the font size so I can fit it all on a single line. And clicking off of it will confirm those changes. Now let's check out the download CV button. Let's see what it's linked to. And as you can see, you can choose what it does. By checking out this list on the side, you can see there are buttons associated with what this button does, which is really, really cool. You can select a web address, which is what our other buttons did. The project and resume buttons on our landing page did, is they selected web pages and opened them up either in a new window or on the same page. You can add an anchor, have it select a specific page, add an email so it'll open up and send an email, or in this instance you can have a PDF. So from here you can choose the file you wish to upload, and this is where you would grab the file directly off your computer and drag and drop it directly in. So if you have a resume text file, you can just drag and drop that directly into here and it will add it into your files. And so I'll do just that, just drag and drop my resume folder into here and it will upload real quick, and then we're good to go. So I'll hit add to page, and now it is linked. Hitting done, and this CV button is now directly linked to that PDF. So this is where you would grab your existing CV and link it right there. Same with your resume. I would highly recommend maybe even adding a resume button so you can download that as well. And by holding down Control and C, you can copy it, and clicking off of the button and hitting Control V will then paste it. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. You have any element on the page selected and hit Control C, it will copy that and keep it on your clipboard until you either save over it or close out. And so now that it's posted that button, we can grab it and drag it around to format it however we see fit. And you can see the little pink lines will help you with your formatting. So let's actually drop that right next to the download CV button and click on the change text button to change that from download CV to download resume. As you can see, the button expands to fit the size of the text, which is a nice feature. And of course, the last thing is we want to make sure that it's not linked to download our CV, but our resume. And so we'll hit the linked button, and you can see the resume RTF is already linked to it. So I'll go ahead and go back to the download CV and hit linked. And we'll change this from the resume over to the CV. All you have to do is drag and drop that over, and it will upload, and you hit add to page, and it is now linked. hit done, and you're good to go. Clicking over on the download resume button and checking the link to make sure it's resume, and we're good to go. So now actually jumping into the resume itself, you can go ahead and check out the experience and see that everything is in a container box. You can grab the whole box and move it around, and the text stays with it, which is nice if you're trying to, let's say, maybe line things up. If you wanted this to meet in the center and you wanted to change the paragraph text so it fits a little bit better for your job position, or you have two relevant things that go together and you want them near each other. So as you can see, I can click on any element, and just holding down my click, I can then drag it and it will follow my mouse around on the entire page. Now that I've formatted that, I can still grab the whole thing and drag it down. If I want to resize it, hovering over the edges of any of the boxes, you can see that a small arrowed hand will appear, and this will allow me to change the size. So if I wanted to copy this over and paste it like I just did with the button, I could add and delete different ones as I see fit. So let's maybe drop this back into the center and then get these in line on the edges and have them at the same height. So then maybe we want to do a staggered effect. We want a long one, two short ones, a long one, so on and so forth. That way we can make more use out of the space we have. Now, like I said, make sure you have your resume nearby so you can go in and change out the text. Like I showed you on all of the other pages, it's very easy to do that. You can double click on any text box and it will highlight everything, or you can just click on it once you have it all highlighted to just go in and change specific text. Click off of it and it will save those changes, or clicking on the box and hitting edit text will then allow you to edit the text. Now, I'm not going to go through and change all of the text on the website. That's something that you'll do yourself as long as you have an understanding of it. Make sure you change out your experience, your education, and skills. You don't want to be stuck with any of the template stuff, especially when it comes to a resume, because this is a professional setting, and having something from a template just shows that you didn't put the effort in to actually make it your own, and that you didn't care enough to make sure that it was fitting to your resume. And even worse, maybe it accidentally has skills or languages that you're not actually proficient in on there, and you didn't change them out, so the employer's under the wrong impression. That's a situation you will always want to avoid. So now that we're happy with the resume page, we can go back to the Pages button and click on Projects just to take a peek at it. Now, same thing with the resume page. You can see everything is compartmentalized in these container boxes, and it's the same exact thing. You just click on any one of these and change the name to whatever relevant name it is to that project. You can click on the image and same thing. Clicking the Change Image button will bring open that Wix file manager, which shows you all of the existing files associated with that site. And just like how I dragged those text files in, you can drag image files in no problem. And of course, highlighting or clicking on an entire box and hitting delete, you can get rid of it, and Control Z is undo. Those are two quick buttons that you should know. So keep in mind to remember Control C to copy, Control V to paste, Control Z to undo, and with anything highlighted, hitting the delete button will simply delete it. So jumping over to the contact page, our final page on the website, we want to make sure that it's linked to us. I'm already a fan of what the form is presenting, so I'm not actually going to ask for any different information. We'll just click on the Wix form itself and then go over to Form Settings. Now this will allow us to adjust the settings of the form and how it's linked to us and what it will send it to. So if we wanted to click on the Submit Message tab, this will allow us to change what happens when a visitor submits a form. We can change the message it sends them. We can set the time as always or a specific time. How long does it show? We can have it just show up for 8 seconds if we wanted to, and then it will revert back to the form. Or if we wanted to link email marketing, of course, a newsletter isn't necessarily something that you'll want associated with your resume. So we'll head over back to the main page and then hit the View Submissions table. Now this will show us all of the submissions that we've received through this form. Now, as you can see, it won't allow us to until we publish our site, which is actually one of the last things we'll want to do. So closing out of this and going to the top right corner and hitting publish, we'll save the site where it's at and post it live to the internet for everybody to see. And now from this pop-up window, we can click on the View Site button to check out our site live on the internet. Now just scrolling through and make sure our functionality works, click on Projects, it takes us over there. Let's go back to the resume and let's download the resume. As you can see, boom, just like that, grabbed it, downloaded it. Download CV, boom. Always make sure to test your site's functionality, especially if you have something that allows you to download things, because you want to make sure they're downloading the right thing or that the download even works to begin with. Now, going through making sure my formatting's good, and I'm a big fan of all of this. So let's actually switch back to the About Me page. And something I noticed is, yes, I've changed my name on the landing page, but I didn't change my name up here. So let's switch back to the editor and fix that real quick. Okay, now back in the editor, we can close that window, and we're going to just click on the text up here. Now, because this is a header, this will change on every single page we apply it to, because this is site-wide. This is the only thing that's consistent throughout the entire website. As we change pages, this is a part of the nav bar, and we want to make sure that the name is correct to match everything else. Like I said, never let the template remain as is. Make sure you swap out and rebrand everything, otherwise it just looks like you got sloppy or lazy and missed something. So we'll go ahead and double click on this, or click the edit text button and type my name in, and then clicking off of it, and we're good to go. So we'll hit publish again to publish our changes, and then we can view site again to simply check out what we just made changes to. And as you can see, the changes have been made. Of course, I might want to change something with the formatting, just because I didn't include my last name. As you can see down here, I did miss another portion, the 2023 copyright by Maya Nelson. That's something I'd change. And then obviously my social media links would be changed, my email address, and my phone number. Of course, like I said, if this is your personal resume, you might not want to include your phone number unless it is a restricted website that only a handful of people will see. Unless you post it live to all of the internet, then it's kind of risky to put your phone number out there. So switching back over to the Wix editor one last time, because the very last thing you'll want to do is, after you've posted your site, you'll notice that it's posted to a random default Wix URL, which you can change the subdomain of it. But the thing is, it's still at wix.com, and that doesn't look as professional as something like maybe patrick.com would. If a potential employer or recruiter got a link to my website and it was a random long URL, they may or may not care as much as if it was a professional business or something like that. But putting in that effort and going above and beyond to make sure that the domain fits exactly what the website's about, like patricksresume.com, just shows that I took the effort and made the initiative to actually go ahead and get that domain name, because I care about that. Now, what does that say about my professionalism and what I'm willing to do on the job? And so just like that, that's how you take your resume and turn it into a professional website, so recruiters and potential employers can just be impressed by the work that you do. Your resume has just taken a giant leap in professionalism and quality. You have gone from a stagnant, plain PDF file to a gorgeous resume website that is interactive and provides easy to access links so potential employers can easily reach you and see your work experience at a quick glance. And not only that, but using some of the knowledge in my previous Wix videos, you can also add a custom domain name to give it that extra level of professionalism. So again, use the link down in the description to head over to wix.com so you too can create your perfect resume website. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for other helpful videos just like this one, and hit that bell for notifications. And until next time, and as always, thanks for watching.